Some internal announcements. Nominations for SBJ's Game Changers close Monday, April 21st. Of course, next week, the CAA World Congress of Sports in Nashville. If you're going to be there, let me know. Love to see you. And yes, there is still time to register and join record attendance in Nashville for the CAA World Congress of Sports next week. This is your morning Buzzcast for Thursday, April 17th. Good morning. I'm Abe Madcore. Thanks for listening. A major news break late Wednesday. Washington, D.C., close to a deal worth more than $3 billion to bring the Commanders back to the District of Columbia, build a new stadium at that historic RFK Stadium site. This was first reported by the local NBC News affiliate in D.C. Noted negotiations are not done. They are still ongoing, but there is a framework for a deal that would see the team paying the vast majority of the costs to build a new stadium, and much of the money provided by the city would go for infrastructure supporting development. So this is a massive development. The Commanders would pay as much as $2.5 billion toward the $3 billion total investment. Obviously, the Commanders, who play in Landover, will tap into the NFL Stadium Loan Program to finance a portion of their contribution to the deal. This deal has been reportedly done at the highest levels, with Commissioner Roger Goodell actively involved in the stadium talks. The deal calls for the stadium and stadium parking to be completed by the fall of 2030. But the bottom line, what a significant deal this would be, not just for the Commanders, but for the NFL, to bring the NFL back into the District of Columbia at an historic site that works so well for fans and the fan experience. This would be something very significant and really could be something quite special. I would go to games at the old RFK Stadium site. I know kind of the vibe and the magical feel. This would be a very big deal for the NFL and the Washington Commanders and the District of Columbia. There's a lot of activity in Minneapolis and St. Paul. As we know, the new ownership of the T-Wolves and the Lynx have their vision for the future, which includes a new arena down the road. The Twins have been in the market looking for a new owner, but the Twins could also be taken off the market. Now the Minnesota Wild are in the news. The team has retained Oakview Group to sell the naming rights of their facility, as the team is seeking a new arena naming rights sponsor for the first time in franchise history. The team's existing partner, Xcel Energy, has had its name on the home venue in St. Paul since the team's inaugural season in 2000. So the name change would come at a critical juncture for the arena. The Wild have been pushing for a major renovation of the arena, up to $750 million, although no deal is finalized. Now, Xcel Energy will remain a team sponsor going forward under a multi-year renewal, but it is not retaining its naming rights beyond its current deal, which expires at the end of this season. So the Wild are in the marketplace right now with Oakview Group, and they expect a new naming rights partner by the start of next season this fall. Let's move on to another sport that gets a lot of buzz recently, softball. It continues to make big gains on college campuses, and Athletes Unlimited is heavily focused on it as a growth sport. And it has brought on Kim Ang as the first commissioner of Athletes Unlimited Softball League. That will launch its inaugural season on June 7th. Now, Kim has been the league's senior advisor since last summer, helping develop the team's structure and really setting up the league. I've seen Kim out with John Patricoff of Athletes Unlimited at a number of different events. She is so well regarded. Remember, she served as the general manager of the Miami Marlins. She was the first woman to hold that role for a team in a major North American men's league. She's had stints as the assistant general manager of the Yankees. She was at the Dodgers. She was in baseball operations for Major League Baseball. I'm a big fan of hers. So many are. She will report to Athletes Unlimited co-founder John Patricoff. She'll operate out of New York. Athletes Unlimited really focused on softball and starting this league, but that comes with rolling up your sleeves and getting in the weeds because starting a league is really hard. Now, softball was a 5-week season previously in Athletes Unlimited's portfolio. Remember, they have volleyball, they have basketball, but this new league will have 4 teams playing 24 games in 10 cities as part of a touring model. So, a new model for the Athletes Unlimited Softball League. The league begins June 7th, and Kim Eng is its first commissioner. While you're keeping your eye on Kim, also keep your eye on my friend Chuck Todd. Chuck Todd was part of the group with Jeffrey Pollack and Steve Billifer, and I joined them. We started Sports Business Daily in 1994 out of a house in Arlington, Virginia. Most of us were in our early 20s, getting up way too early, clipping papers. We were searching America Online for sports business news. Chuck Todd, of course, went on to much, much bigger things. But since he left Meet the Press and NBC, he's been looking at his next opportunity. And his idea right now centers around local media and youth sports. And he believes youth sports coverage could be the anchor of a new local news play that he is ideating. He is all about local news. He's always been a believer in local news, but he feels that right now the glue to that and the key to funding it is through covering youth sports. So he's in the market, talking to people, looking for investors, and he believes investors are more interested in the vision of making money in the youth sports space than in local news. And that's understandable. Local media, incredibly challenging. But Chuck, to his credit, sees a potential in bringing together local news, local sports for both a good business and a good public service. He also bases it on his theory that youth sports and high school sports is only going to grow in interest. Chuck Todd, very smart, very connected. So I would certainly keep your eye on what he's thinking about doing in the youth sports space. A big weekend in Las Vegas. Every major city wants WrestleMania. Las Vegas has it this weekend. A full card of wrestling events. WrestleMania 41 Sunday. The event is over the weekend. They're expected to draw almost 200,000 visitors to the city. Do not overlook how big this event is to the cities and the regions who host it. There will be more than 100,000 hotel room nights booked, restaurants full. This is a big economic driver. There are still some tickets left. Tickets for Saturday start at about $140, Sunday $210. This is the WWE Super Bowl, and the amount of attention and the fan following that WrestleMania receives is something all other leagues look at and really covet. Let's end on some names in the news. Time magazine announced its annual list of the 100 most influential people in the world. Several sports figures on the list: Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, French swimmer Leon Marchand, tennis player or former tennis player Serena Williams, U.S. gymnast Simone Biles, also WNBA players and Unrivaled co-founders Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier all appeared on this list of pioneers. And speaking of pioneers, one of SBJ's champions, the well-respected Gene Smith, is finding life in retirement quite busy. He has recently joined Under Armour's board of directors, which includes longtime sports agency executive Patrick Weitzel and, of course, Under Armour's founder, Kevin Plank. So Gene Smith, in retirement, now joining the board of Under Armour. And finally, an SBJ programming note before I wrap up. This week on SBJ Sports Media Podcast, Austin Karp and Molly Kaline break down the viewership numbers for the Masters and the WNBA draft. They are also joined by Chris Sims of NBC Sports to discuss the NFL draft and its evolution as a television property. Like and subscribe to the SBJ Sports Media Podcast, available now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And so that is your morning Buzzcast for Thursday, April 17th. I'm Abe Madcourt. Thanks for listening. Hope to see a number of you in Nashville. Stay healthy, be good to each other. I'll speak to you tomorrow.